Well, greetings again. It's Dr. Bill Wyatt with the American Orthodontic Society, and I want to show something else was very important that I've done over the last probably 40 years. We came up with a method of bringing in impacted teeth, and I've never seen one you couldn't bring in except one case where a permanent cuspid came in and ate the root off of the central, or about half of it, and about 2/3 of the root off of the lateral, like this. And it was then up there on the stump. And normally one permanent tooth going against another one does not eat the tooth away. It'll do that to baby teeth. But this one had gone through and ate the root off of 2 permanent teeth, and there was no way for me to get it out of there. So I had an oral surgeon go in and slide it out over this. And that was the only time that I found one that this could not do. So let's get going here and show this. Let me see. I don't think I've got my marker. Okay. Now, here is the appliance. You're depending on spring to bring this tooth in, plus dental floss to go and back and hook onto it. We take a stick of, see it right here, twist it down and make that thing before you go in and uncover the tooth. And you make that wire as long, and we use 14 thousandths wire to twist up to make this little hook. And you make that and have it bent, everything before you start to uncover the tooth. And then you have to go in and uncover it and take electrosurge and cauterize the area. You go in and then put a lot of bonding material on the tooth where you found it, and try to get as close as you can to the tip of the tooth. Then you bring this up and make a hook in it, and you can put about 5 pounds of force on that before that tooth would straighten. This wire would straighten out. That's 14 thousandths soft stainless steel wire you make the hook out of. Then we use closed coil spring, and we hook it up, tie it back here, pull it up, and you can measure exact force you've got in there with a thing they call a Orthodontics gauge. And everybody needs a Orthodontics gauge. It just measures stuff. It measures it, pulling it out like this. Each ring is an ounce, and it goes out to 16 ounces. And it'll pull a pound, or it pushes back in here and pushes a pound. And that's the way you tell exactly how much force you're going to pull. And you need to you've got about 4 things. You've got to have a steady pull, and we do that with spring. And you have to have something that slips, so you use wax dental floss to go through and you put a hole in your archway like that. And you put a spring in here to open the gap, to make it bigger than you need. It's hard to put a tooth into a gap that's not quite big enough. So you make the gap bigger than you need it, just a little bit, and the tooth will come through, and then you can close that up after you get through. And this was, I made this up on a tapadot. And here you pull it up so many ounces of force. Say you pull 10 ounces of force here, or 16 ounces in a pound. So you're pulling on it, and I want the thing to go this direction right here. So you have to have something that pulls at a certain a continuous pressure that won't let up from 1 week to the next. It'll be just about the same, except if it pulls this tooth in, it gets less pressure on it, and it slows down then. And you have this loop, this arch wire, where you want it to go, and you run that wax dental floss up and underneath there and pull it together. You have to change that floss about every month. Now there we have it. You go here, you hook this spring, pull it out with so many ounces of force. Say you use 10 ounces. And then this wax floss will come over. You put this on the tooth and you pull on that. It'll lose very little of its pulling force. So it'll be pulling in this direction. And you're pulling it back here with a constant force. I made this up with a typodont, showing it from the front and the back. And it took a long time to fix that typodont to show that. And I was in Washington State. A group up there asked me to come up, and we were on a weekend in the orthodontic department at this university. And somewhere or another, that typodont just disappeared. So I'm not surprised to see this somewhere else. And we're using a rectangular wire to pull it in. And at this time, we're rotating a tooth, and you hook this elastic chain around like that and hook it on this. And you can hook any tooth on any body, and you can hook a number of teeth, and you can spin those teeth like mad. I've got a whole video on using this type of rotation of the teeth. And they ask, in doing these in video cases, how you correct that. You can correct the tooth with that in 1/10 the time it would take you to do it with a plastic thing, moving the tooth around like that. Now let's go on from that. So here the rectangular wire goes out, and we come over here and make this little loop. That's where we want the tooth to go. And so you have it goes in a specific direction with a specific amount of pressure on it, and both of those go where it picks up the tooth, and you hook it to the top of the tooth as close as you can get. And when it gets up there close, you can shorten it and cut the spring, the hook off, and shorten it. And that's better than those little gold chains. So you can use a bracket like that. You make the hook before you go in to do this, and then run the dental floss through and hook it onto that, and it's pulling. And you can pull down on it from the bottom arch, but you can get a steady, constant force in one direction, and that pulls those teeth in. I've never found that only that one tooth that I couldn't get this to work on. So here we go in and take that. Now, you could get the closed coil spring, and this is 10, the size of the wire is 10,000. The lumen in the spring was 36,000. In other words, it's 36,000, the opening inside the spring. The wire we used was 010, spring tension. And you use a closed one and an open one to open the coil like that. And that was a good case of the people that made that. Now you take a gerback plier and you go in the end of that spring, get a couple of loops and you bend it down, and you do the same thing on the other end. You cut it over here, and now you bend this. Now, we make this and use an 0.12 for 12 thousandths size wire. Come in there and just tie a knot in that. And now you're going to tie that to a molar tooth back here. You go back here and tie it onto this molar tooth, and the spring will go over here. Then you put waxed dental floss. Just remember, it's slick and it'll slide out. Now take this wire that we have coming out here, we've got it tied. We tie it to the back of a molar. And now we pull on that with your orthodontics gauge. You hook this on the end of it, and you pull it out, and it'll tell you exactly how many ounces you got on that. And it pulls like that. So you figure out what you're going to take, the weight you're going to pull it out. And your space is in here, and you're going to pull it to that point. Now we're going to run the dental floss from here. We take one branch of the dental floss, come through here, put it, and hook it to the hook over here coming out, and you take the other one and you pull on that and pull it up and bring it up to a certain point. Say you use 8 ounces or 10 ounces, what it takes to move that tooth. Now we tied this to a move. This is going back. Now we're going to bring this spring back in this direction. See, and then, well, we got it tied back to a molar. And there's your doctor's gauge. You push it in. This is 4 ounces, 8 ounces, 12 ounces, 16 ounces. There's 1 pound going there. That's pushing. That's on the pushing side of this, like that. And you think you can't stand it, push your finger and put a pound of force, and it'll push a hole in your finger. And this one, you pull it to check the same weight. Now that's the pulling side. So we put that in, and on this, we're pulling this spring up here, and to do that took 12 ounces. See, there's 4, 8, 12 ounces of force to pull that spring that far. Now we take one leg of this dental floss, go through a tie to that, and then we tie the 2 legs together. Now we take that, and we're doing a double this side, shove it through here, hook it, come out, and tie these 2 ends together and pull it up to whatever force you want to put on the tooth. Now here, if you want to let the person hook an elastic and come out here and put it, you can do that. That pulls the tooth straight down. And when you've got an impacted tooth like this and you're pulling with this spring, you go in here and you're pulling with 8 ounces, that means you got 8 ounces of force bringing the maxillary teeth forward. If you've got a class 2 case and you don't want to do that, you have to hook elastic. But the person has to hook that up. This other way, it just stays in there with that constant force, and I have never seen a tooth you couldn't bring it in from different places. Now we double this take this, you got one piece here, here's this piece. We double it, go in and hook it on that, come out, and we tie this piece to this one down lower side. You can use the rubber band, but you don't have to. The rubber band pulls the teeth down. This pulls the teeth forward. Pulls all of the teeth forward. Now tie a triple knot in that dental floss and start pulling on that. And I pull it to where I have pulled the spring out to say where you want to go. Now we pull that up to a point where we have figured out exactly the force in here. And then you tie that, and this will be pulling a tooth in this direction with just virtually the same force you got here. That wax floss slides through that gap like that. And then this is tied back at the back here. And so this fulfills everything you need for pulling a tooth in. As this tooth gets closer, the force goes down, and you cut that wire off, bend it again, and you can pull till you get to where you can run the dental floss around that button if you want to. Pull it in the rest of the way. And this works. It really works. And people look at it, they think it's too blooming complicated, and I haven't seen anybody. But I have lectured on this for years, nearly 30 or 40 years, and showed people how to do that. And it'll bring the tooth. Now, if you want to bring this tooth at another angle, you can hook a rubber band underneath the bottom like this and go in. But the person, I'm sorry, I didn't hit me up. All right, that brings the tooth at an angle like this, if you want to change the angle from where it is. And so you open this with an open coil spring, and this is a closed coil. They're the same size wires, same size lumen in the spring. Now there you run that through, and you sort of tie it with that, and you start pulling it, tying this knot up here, and you pull this out to wherever you want to, how many ounces you want to put on that tooth to bring it in. And it'll have that same, almost exactly the same pressure where that wax floss slides through that gap up there. So you have to have your arch wire, use a rectangular wire and get it tied down where it won't move. And we pull the tooth like that. And you can pull it from the top or from the palatal side. It doesn't matter. And you can add a rubber band to make it go at an angle after you're coming through. And these are the little T-springs we hook on the arch wire. I think that's the end. That's the end of the deal like this. Now, can I go back and show that again? All right, we put that up and pull it back like that. I have not found a tooth we couldn't use except that one that came in up here and cut the roots off of this other tooth right here. And this is a surefire way to bring impacted teeth down. Now I'm going to say goodbye on this particular type, and we'll show it on cases. And we've used this on for years. It is a absolute marvelous way to bring impacted teeth into the mouth. So I'm going to say goodbye and close out, and I'll go in and show you an impaction case after this. Thank you now.